What's up, gang? Welcome to The Greatness Machine. I'm your host, Darius and Mirshahzadeh. I'm so pumped to have you here with me. Now listen, The Greatness Machine, we're about two things. Number one, people who are living their passions. And number two, those who are creating greatness in the world and doing both of these things despite the odds against them. Each episode, we're going to feature interviews with game changers, business leaders, telling us their origin stories, what made them tick, what got them to where they are now. Why? So it can help you step into your greatness within your life, your business, and your career. Occasionally, you might hear a few solo episodes from myself, moi, as I say, as I leverage my 20 years of entrepreneurship as a CEO and founder to help you grow and level up in your journey to scale your life and your business. So come be a fly on the wall, enjoy the conversation, and I'm stoked to have you here with me. Guys, welcome to today's episode of The Greatness Machine. I'm your host, Darius and Mirshahzadeh, and boy, do we have a special guest. Michelle Argyris is in the house. What's up, Michelle?
Hey, Darius. How's it going?
I'm so excited for this show. I've been getting fired up for it, and here we are. So you ready? Excited. You ready to do this?
Let's do it. Let's go.
All right, cool. So audience members, as you know, I am the most selfish person on earth. And I was doing my thing, scrolling on social, and I saw Michelle and her work, and I was like, oh, this person is super interesting. And when I get into her formal bio, you'll understand why. But I was like, wow, what a dynamic human being, and so excited for the work that she's done in the world of the arts, and now in her somatic healing women's work. And we'll be talking about that in just a second. And I was like, let's put her on the list. And she was so gracious to say yes. So super excited to have you here today.
Yeah, thank you, Darius. Yeah, I'm excited to be here too. That's awesome.
So we're going to get popping here, but I'm going to give you guys the formal bio, and then we're going to jump into some origin story. Let me pull this up so I'm not looking to my right. So Michelle is based in LA. She's a former elite athlete, successful television and film actor, serial entrepreneur, and founder of the Windtuition Wellness. And we're going to be talking about her creation, the SheCode, that she's working with women in all these amazing ways. But I know, unlike many people, we all start off in our own different ways. You didn't wake up one day and you have a successful film career and be a successful serial entrepreneur. We'd love to hear some of your origin story. How did you get to where you got to?
Yeah. Thank you for asking. So to say the least, my mom said as soon as I came out of the womb, I hit the ground running. So I never knew where I was running to, but I was always running somewhere. So I've always put my fingers and dabbled into so many different things. I was just somebody who was very curious and excited to experience life in so many different ways. And I started by joining gymnastics at a young age, and I was put into a very disciplined group that was practicing towards the Olympics, and hated it because it was so hard, and they were literally ripping me and my body in ways that did not feel great at all. And so I just grew up with hardcore discipline, a love for gymnastics. So I took that into cheerleading, and from cheerleading, I really enjoyed the performance aspect of just expressing myself. I just knew I needed to move my body and express this inner child inside that was excited to play and to bring joy into the world. And so from there, I pivoted into film and TV, which of course is not an easy road, like you mentioned. But I always had this mindset that when I would get a rejection, it was a redirection, even as a child. And I have some funny stories around that as well, and different agents that told me I would never make it, basically, in the shortest form. And then, I took that no as ammunition to ignite that spark, to ensure that I got it and I could do it and show everyone that I was capable. So there was that part. And from there, pursued a career in film and TV for a long time, very long time. At the same time, I started a business outside of university, and I had that for 12 years. So yeah, just a lot of different things, and eventually pivoted into wellness. And that's a whole story in itself, which
Love
I'm
that.
happy to hear too. Yeah.
Love that. So I have two quick questions for you. Is your name, is that Greek, Argyris?
Yeah, it's Macedonian.
Oh, Macedonian. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Macedonian, it's Slavic. And it's pronounced actually Argyris.
Argyris. Okay. Well, listen, when your last name is Mirshahzadeh, you like to get you get it right. I get it right. So Argyris.
Argyris, yeah.
Argyris.
Argyris, yeah. Even Lifetime, it's like present on one of my last films, they're like presenting Michelle Argyris. I'm like, okay. It's okay. We'll roll with it. It's fine.
Dude.
I've gotten it in a million different ways. So all of it works. It's fine.
Listen, it takes one to know one. Like if you could only imagine how fucking badly people butchered my name my whole life. It was like, it's like comical. I'm like, can you read? Like, are you just adding letters or like removing it? Like someone called me Murchy once. Like Murchy, I'm like, my last name is 4 syllables for fuck's sake.
I bet your nervous system goes off. It pings as soon as they see it, and they're like, "Please, may I get this right?" And as soon as you're like, "Please, may I get it right?" You can't. It's you're setting yourself up to get it wrong.
I'm like, fucking white people. You can't pronounce shit unless it's like Smith.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay, all right. So we got it. I get it. All right.
Argyris, and also in French, to an all French school, it was Argyris en français.
Oh. So I love that.
More.
I love that. Your parents are incredible. So, and so I did read before. So, are you Canadian? Is that correct?
I am. Yeah, I was born in Canada. Yep.
What part of Canada? I have a lot of Canadian friends. Where'd you grow up in Canada?
No way. Yeah, I was born in Richmond Hill, and I grew up in Mississauga, which is like the Greater Toronto area.
Okay. Hey, do you know Sarah Edmonton? She was part of Nexium, and she was an actress. She's a fellow.
Is that the cult? I saw that docu-series.
Yeah. She was the whistleblower. She was a former guest on the show. She's a friend of mine. But she's a fellow actress, actor, and Canadian. Just so you know.
Oh, I love that. Yes, Canada. Let's go.
Let's go Canada. All right. I have lots of Canadian friends. We will get away from that because I can go down a good little rabbit hole. But I'd love to, like, first of all, do you ever follow, Scott Galloway, Prof G? You follow him at all? Are you familiar with his work? Mm-hmm. He's a very popular podcaster, but I like his stuff. And he used to teach at NYU, which I saw that you are an NYU grad. Is that correct?
York University, which is a Canadian university.
Oh, I've added the N in there. So screw NYU.
Yeah, no, NYU, definitely from Canada.
Yeah. You're the original York. Fuck you.
Yeah, there you go.
So, okay. Well, anyway, that other York school that he taught at, he was talking about, like, really talking about telling people don't pursue their passions. He's like, if I would tell my kids don't pursue their passions. I have a sister that went to school and she's in fashion, and she went to fashion school. She went to Parsons in New York, and he used fashion. He used film and acting and television. And he's like, film and acting has a 99.9% unemployment rate. Right. Yep. And like, I think most people don't think about that, right? Like, hey, you want to go into like a field. He's like, don't go into a field with a 99.9% unemployment rate. Yet you did, and you were successful in it, which is super hard to do. Tell us, like, is it literally like, you're like, oh, I collect no's for a living. Like, tell me how you thought about that.
It was my ability to not take no for an answer. It was my ability to persevere. Especially when you're young, when you hear that you're not good enough or you're not fit for something, that can really change the whole trajectory of your whole life because you feel you're not good enough to do something. And the facts are everyone is capable and good enough if they put their heart and their mind and their efforts towards something, period. And so, it's not that my family wasn't supportive. They are. However, I do feel as though they had this idea that it was a temporary idea in my head. Yeah. No, but then when I pivot and moved to LA and did the whole thing, which is hard enough, A, to work, B, to get yourself a visa into the US, never mind a green card, and the amount of time, love, effort, blood, sweat, tears it takes to keep pushing despite everyone pushing against you. And I think it was, like I said, when I was a kid, it was this fire inside of me that just like would not take no for an answer and was always willing to take risks. And I think taking risks opens up so many doors in our lives. It's insanely incredible how I think there's people who have to see something in order to believe it.
Totally.
And the dreamers believe it until they see it. And I just had a vision and I was not going to stop until I got there. And, it's been a journey, and there's been years that were slower and then years that took off. And I would love to mention the story of an agent. I remember going out, and I was a kid who thought I was awesome at everything. Like, even if I was really, really bad at it, I'm like, I'm so good. Watch me, look, you know?
Wait, what was what was the biggest thing that you were terrible at that you thought you were good at?
Oh God.
Like, what's like just one that you're like, dude, I should not have thought I was good at that.
Like hopping and skipping like 5 monkey bars. It's like I reached for it and I just face planted for that 5th bar. I was like, that was dumb, but I'm going to try it again. And you best believe I tried it until I hit the 5th monkey bar, no matter how many times I fell. So, you know, it really was that. And I do, yeah, the story I'd love to mention, and I don't know if I've ever mentioned this out loud or on any podcasts or in any socials before, is there was an agent I went to go see, and it was and I won't name names or agencies, but it was in Canada. And I was so excited. This was years ago, to audition to be a part of a new agency that could potentially get me film and TV, you know, auditions. And I created all these, you know, I did the scenes they made me prepare. I did an improv section and everything. And when I finished and she sat me down, I was smiling from ear to ear, just waiting for her to tell me when I start. And the most humbling moment was she goes, "Oh, honey," she's like, "Yeah, you're up against people, you know, auditioning for being Erica and like other popular TV shows at the time." She goes, "You would be good for like maybe SOC commercials." And for those of you listening, SOC means silent on camera.
Oh.
And I remember just being like, huh. And taking a minute to just like let it land and be like, this isn't what I thought. Wait a second. But thankfully, like my spirit was unstoppable. So I use that as ammunition. But what I caution is when children have dreams, to really hold them, like I invite like parents and teachers and just friends to allow people to hold their dreams, because they are real and they can become a reality so long that they have the support system and they have the efforts inside of them and the desire to do it. And so I think that's a really important thing, and just supporting people in what they want to do, and whether it's right or wrong, which I don't believe in right or wrong at all, is based on people's perceptions of how they were brought up, their parents, their parents, how they did it, you know? So yeah, I really encourage to just really allow children to pursue their dreams.
I have a golden rule, which is you're not allowed to tell me I can't do something if you haven't done it yourself.
Amen.
So like, I'm like, oh, you can't be an actor. It's like, go fuck yourself. You've never been an actor. What do you even know what that means? You know, like it's insane. Yeah. The amount of, and look, like there's so many naysayers. People love telling people what they can't do because they themselves like struggle in like living a life of desperate like mediocrity, you know? And I'm like, dude, like don't put your shit on me. Like I'm going to go try it.
Everything that anyone has ever dreamed of, somebody has it. Somebody's living that dream.
Totally.
And what's the difference? Did it. Who didn't, and the people that did, they just kept going and they continued to believe in themselves.
Totally. I love that. So when I was you'll appreciate this. Like your parents sounds like they were supportive, even though they maybe thought you were crazy. Like my parents, I was in freshman year of university, and I was in a bunch of dramatic art classes. So we were doing like improv and all this stuff. And I told my mom, I'm like, hey, I think I want to do like a Japanese. This is in the mid 90s, late 90s. I'm like, I'm going to do Japanese and dramatic art. She's like, yeah, we're not going to pay for your college if you do that. and I was like, what? She's like, yeah, you have to go get a business degree. And I'm like that. And so looking back, I was like, that was so lame. You know, like why would you, like, it doesn't even matter what you get your degree in, by the way. Like anyone that's listening, unless you want to be a doctor or an engineer, like no one gives a shit. Like they just want to see that you got your BA or BS or whatever. So like let them do it. You know, it's not going to do anything. I'm an entrepreneur. Like I've never had a job that I didn't create the revenue myself. You know, so like what is that? Like what degree teaches you that? It's called nothing. You know, so that's so cool that your parents were supportive. How did you acclimate to the culture of LA, which is way different than like, you know, especially LA in the entertainment business?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm trying to think back. I've been here now for 11 years, so it's been a minute since I've tried to come out here. I think getting here was the hardest part, and getting a visa, then getting a green card, and having to prove your excellence in the field of choice that you have, you know, and trying to prove that people need me out here, but can't get a job unless you have the visa, but you need a visa in order to get the job. It was such a chicken before the egg scenario.
Sure.
And so, I remember as soon as I came here, I had another girlfriend who got a little more lost into going out, partying with celebrities, and she enjoyed her time. And for me, I was focused and determined. I got off the plane, I sat on my computer, and from day until night, I figured out how can I stay here? Because when I came off that flight, I fell in love with LA. And that's pivoted now. I'm feeling a shift now 10 years later, and I may be on the way out now. But at the time, I knew with my soul that I was meant to be here. And it's not a thought. It's like a felt sense in my body.
Yeah.
And I trusted it. And from that moment forward, what's the lawyer? What do I need to get? How do I get these projects you're talking of? Like, I just went through the whole list, and I literally sent them the most thorough package. Within 2 weeks, the lawyer looked at me like I was nuts. He's like, did you seriously put this together? I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. Let's expedite it. So I paid extra to expedite the case. And it was one of the fastest cases that ever came through.
Wow.
Why? I don't know, but I truly believe in the resonance of in my body and in my state of being. There was no other way than whatever officer was going to see it. They were going to say yes. Like I could feel them saying yes before I even handed the paper to the lawyers. And that's exactly what happened. So, whether it is the reason for it or not, I don't know. All I know is it worked, and I'm here. I did 2 visas that were 3 years, and then I now am on a 10-year green card.
Nice.
So, yeah.
That's amazing. Do you follow, or have you ever done human design, quantum human design? Have you ever done that assessment?
Generator.
Oh, you're a master.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. I'm an initiating manifestor.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I have, but you said something a second ago, and I'm like, oh, I bet you do. So do you have a splenic knowing? Are you familiar with that part?
Well, it's a splenic knowing. So I do psychic mediumship and psychic readings. Would that be with the same thing?
I don't know. There's a part in it. So the audience is like, what the hell are they talking about? If you don't know what we're talking about, Google, audience members, Google like human design assessment, and you can do it. You put in your date of birth, the time you were born. And it's basically like, for my non-woo-woo people, my business people, because we got a lot of business people listening to this, it's like the cosmic version of Strength Finders. And it's insane. When you read it, you're like, dude, this is totally me. So there's a part where they talk about having a splenic knowing, which is like, and you're a somatic, so I'm going to ask you if this is part of it, because for me, I used to say, before I had this vocabulary, I would say, oh, like my body's talking to me right now. Like, I'm like, they'd say, like, when do I know? I'm like, I don't know. My body just tells me sometimes. And I'm like, that's it. And I just know, is that what happened for you, essentially?
That's so beautiful. I love this, Darius, and such a good little segue too. So there's a difference between a gut feeling and your intuition. And the intuition is that, I think, what you're touching upon, which is this internal knowing of things either playing out before they do, or just feeling a felt of intuitive information that comes through that's attached to nothing. It makes absolutely no sense, but it's correct and valid every single time. And you're like, I thought 1 + 1 was 2, but for some reason 7 came through, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, it's 7. I knew it. Or
you're like,
how the heck did that happen? Like, everyone's been there where you're like, I knew it. Like, it's that feeling of being like, I knew it, when we don't listen to it, right? And you do the opposite, and you're like, something comes through, to follow it. It's a felt sense, but the brain goes, that doesn't make sense at all. You should certainly do the logical thing. And then it turns out to be the intuitive answer, and you're like, damn it, I knew it right after.
Totally.
So a really cool example of that was one time I was on a plane, and they did this game randomly on the plane, and they said, hey, at 5 hours and 55 minutes on the flight, how many, I don't know if they said feet or meters or miles, I don't even know. They're like, how many miles were we up in the air? And a number came through so fast. And it was random, like 5,262 feet or something. Like, I have no idea how to do math, so I'm just not a math person. I wrote it down right away, and I told my girlfriend who was sitting beside me, and I said, I'm going to win. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, watch. And I sit down, and of course they're like, all right, winner number seat 11, C. I'm like, yes, I freaking knew it. And there's no rhyme or reason. There's no way to calculate. It's just an intuitive felt sense that comes through. And and even for business people, whether you know it or not, subconsciously you're tapping into your intuitive connection constantly, how you make
Mm-hmm.
business decisions, how you know that even though that person's coming in with the best resume, you know they're not the right person for the role, despite what it looks, how they look, what they're saying to you, like they're saying all the right things, but inside your body, there's a signal going, danger, danger, or this isn't going to work. And sometimes we listen, sometimes we don't, and then it plays out, and then we see it in hindsight. So
Totally. I think I know what it is. So you want me to tell you what I think of what it is?
I would absolutely love to hear. Yeah.
All right. Before I tell you that, though, I'm going to tell you a story about counting jelly beans. So when I was in third grade, so I am really, really good at math. And the thing you just said about being up in the air, I realized when I was 8 that I had a gift for looking at things and knowing the numbers, right? And it was the same thing. It was my body would just tell me a number. So when I was in third grade, we had this thing where there was a mason jar filled with jelly beans, and you had to guess every week, and whoever won would have to go home, fill it up, and then the class would guess again. And so the first week it was jelly beans, and I'm 384, and it was 383. And I go home, I fill it up, and I don't get a guess because I filled it up that week. Yeah. And then someone else wins, and then they fill it up, and then I won every single week that it wasn't my week. And sometimes I would get exact. And so they quit letting me play. They're like, dude, you're not allowed to play. You've won 10 out of 20 weeks. So I learned when I was 9, I'm like, oh shit, I have this thing where I can, but I trusted it. I was like, oh, I just know. And so if I ever go to carnivals and shit, I'll they're like, how much do I weigh? I'm 172. I'm women. I tell women, I'm don't ask me. I'll tell you your number. But I'll tell you what it is.
Yeah.
That I think I just have a brain that's good at spatial reasoning for me personally. But the other thing on intuition, I did some research on what basically your prefrontal cortex, the front of your brain, ingests information at 40. I think it's 40 pieces of data per second. Right. So when we talk about logical brain, it's the monkey brain. It's ingesting 40 bits of information per second. Your subconscious ingests 11 million pieces of bits of information per second. So how can you fucking compare the two? 11 million, my skin, the smell, these perception, hearing, all these different things that have nothing to do with this. It has to do with everything else. I think it's that your subconscious is at work. It's ingesting 11 million bits of information per second in all these ways that are not logical. And then we get a gut feeling from it. So I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think that's amazing, first of all. And then also it made me think of business and how when we are in business, we're in our highly productive brain and getting shit done, the high achiever, wanting to, get goals. And so we're in our mind a lot. And I believe that when we're in the mind, it's harder to actually tap into that subconscious, like you said, in the conscious mind versus the subconscious that has way more information, way more embodied intelligence, way more nuance than just the 5 senses that we lean on. There's just so much more to it. So it's interesting because I know sometimes business and woo-woo, they don't want to go together, but also it's wow, you are a human spirit that came onto planet Earth that not only feels deeply and has so many superpowers and senses. Imagine how powerful and empowering it would be to actually listen to the signals of your body and the subconscious mind by tuning out the noise and the mud, which I call it the mud when we're too monkey brain and we're thinking too hard. You can't be in your monkey brain and in your heart at the same time. It's very hard to build coherence with those two things. And so imagine as a business entrepreneur, not only leading with your head space, but leading with your heart space and your felt sense and all of your spidey senses, kind of like you're saying, Darius, your inner knowings, and trusting the signals that come through and actually executing based off those signals. The amount of success impact you can have on people is just so much deeper and greater. So I invite anyone who is in the business going crunchiness to the woo-woo to just lean in a tad and just be okay, what could be here? Because there's so much available.
It's amazing. I love that you're saying that. And I want to pivot a little bit into your entrepreneurial background because you have a pretty interesting entrepreneurial experience and you're doing some cool stuff right now that we'll dig into. But even what you were just saying right now, because I look, you probably don't know my background private equity, hardcore finance. I was CEO of a 1,000-person organization, like gnarly, hardcore business in banking. So like it's all dotting I's, crossing T's, numbers in finance, selling like securitizations and shit.
Oh,
And so like hardcore business, right? Where it's like woo stuff is complete bullshit.
yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, the problem with that is you're like, we have humans that you're dealing with. And like every time we make a bad decision with a human or we don't honor their feelings, we deal with 100 times of the side effects of what do they do? Like every single problem that you have in business, more or less, is either some strategic decision you didn't make well or a human problem. Most of which, in my experience, was human problems. And so human problems are that person has an emotional issue. They're bringing into work. They're doing this. They steal from you. They break something. They don't live up to their expectations. They have a bad energy with their team. Dude, none of that is mathematical, by the way. That's like emotional. They bring in their PTSD from childhood into the workplace and I have to deal with it. They see me as their dad, you know? So like all that stuff, it's like for someone who's an entrepreneur or a business person or an executive or just like a hardcore, like non-woo-woo person, I'm like, well, what do you think dictates all that? And I'm like, it is the essence of who they are as a human. It's their spirit. And it's how do they show up and deal with their problems, which is a lot of woo-woo like helps with that stuff. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
I love what you're throwing down right now, Darius. And the word that's like alarm belling right now for me is safety. When people don't feel safe.
Totally.
And that's like whether it's a physical safety, emotional safety, relational safety in the work atmosphere. That's when chaos, they lean into bad habits and chaos because they're trying to find safety. Therefore, you see bad behaviors, bad patterns happen. And so I think as a team lead or someone who owns a business and has 1,000 employees working for you, I think the question people forget to ask is, how can I make my employees feel as safe as possible at work? And that doesn't just mean people think safe and they think like, oh, make sure there's nothing sharp they can like step on. And like, that's one tiny layer. But how can they feel safe to go to work and know that they are held and protected in that environment? Because if your employees feel safe, you're going to have so many less problems.
Totally.
And so that's where I question, why is there no course in school that teaches children how to feel safe in their body? They have no idea how to regulate their nervous systems. They have no idea where to go to when they, and children don't know, they feel, but they don't know how to explain the feeling. So if they feel fear, they don't know to say, oh, I'm feeling fear because my mom is doing X, Y, and Z. They just feel fear and can't quite do something with it other than the felt sense. Right. And so that gets instilled at childhood and then it follows us throughout life and it keeps repeating itself. So even when we're 70, we're still having childhood triggers from like back, when we were young. Because it's ingrained in us, especially in those early development stages. So safety for me and in the work that I do is always number one, even in the breath work. If you're creating a space for people to go and tap into a little bit of their trauma, you need to ensure that that person feels so safe in their body, in their spirit, in their emotional capacity to feel that day. There's so many different things. So just dialing it back to the workspace is, how can we ask? How can I make my employees feel as safe as possible at work?
Yeah, I love that. And I think the best leaders learn how to do that or know that that's a skill set that they have to develop or bring people in who have that expertise to work with the team. Now, I want to pivot into because I'm telling you, the reason I asked you to be on the show was I saw that you were doing this work around SheCode and like being the founder of the Windtuition Wellness. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then I looked and saw that you were an actor. And I was like, it's like, what? Like, that's crazy. How did you, are you still doing stuff in film and TV while you're doing this other like wellness and like bigger, like entrepreneurial work? Or is it that you've pivoted completely into the wellness work? I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, thank you for asking, Darius. So to condense this as best as I can, I pivoted from one business, which I had for 12 years. I started it outside of university. It did really well. And at the same time, I was filming back-to-back movies. So on the outside, it looked like everything was going very successful. So anyone looking into the ball would be like, oh, wow, she's doing really great. But what happened during that period is I felt the most depressed I had ever been in my life. And as a leader and as someone who's holding space for everyone and people look up to for answers and questions, I felt like I couldn't ask for help. So I didn't know where to go. I also think I was in denial that I even needed help because I identified with being the person that has it all together, even though I was collapsing. So there was a lot of dissonance, which means like resistance and out of placement in my body that was not connecting to what I was doing anymore. So something that I used to love doing, I started to hate doing it. And so that's when I remember going to Barry's boot camp. Have you ever been to Barry's?
I've not been. There is a Barry's in Austin, and there was a Barry's in San Francisco when I lived there. I'm familiar with it, but I have not worked out there.
It's a gym. It's a gym, right?
Yeah,
and
very popular.
Very popular gym here in the US. And it was across the street from my house, and I went to go visit a girlfriend. And I got lost on my way to Barry's. And she was asking me, she's like, hey, where are you? You're late. I'm like, sorry, I got lost. And she says, don't you live across the street? And I said, yeah, because my anxiety was so bad that I started to get disoriented and I would lose where I was. Like that's how bad the over functioning, the over productivity, that hyper identification with who I was and what I was supposed to be and how I was supposed to show up in the world was too much. It was out of alignment and my body was no longer responding. It was literally like malfunctioning, just picture to malfunction.
Can I ask a question? Were you, had you ever had any like battles with anxiety? Like, like everyone has a little bit of anxiety. Like that's just like we're wired to do that to live. But had you suffered from anxiety or was this new?
Oof, here's another first one I've never put out there. So I suffered greatly from an obsessive compulsive disorder when I was in grade 5.
Wow.
It was really bad. I was almost hospitalized because I wouldn't eat based off of like these obsessions that I thought it would make me throw up. It was such a random, it was a control thing, which I understand now. But again, as children, you have no idea what you're doing. All you know is you feel so unsafe. And that also came from my home. So, in hindsight now, I certainly had that. And, which interestingly, like I don't have the same behaviors, like I don't do the patterning like I did before. And I self-soothed myself and got myself out of that. However, that control has always stayed. So there's a very strong sense I have to control things. The perfectionist make things really good and like essentially it's just me trying to be safe. And I think that's why safety is so important for me to not only unravel and hold myself within, but also I'm able to express and communicate that with others who have also dealt with something so similar or just, wanting to feel safe in the world. It's hard with the way things are. Yeah. Everything's so programmed. We're just trying to fit into this box and we're trying to do the right thing all the time. And there's no such thing as the thing. There's no such thing as right, but we're trying to do the right thing and it's exhausting.
That's interesting that's how I'm a person that suffered from anxiety for a really long period of time. And like a lot of the stuff you're talking about resonates for me. And so I'm like, when you said it, I'm like, oh, I wonder, I'm curious because I think that it's interesting that was helpful for you to pivot you in this direction. Because for me, this is your show. So we'll talk about you, for me, it was, I had hit a point, I was in my late 30s where I was like, on paper, it was like crushing life. And I felt totally empty inside. And I was like, and I hit all these goals and that I had set out that were like goals that you shouldn't hit. And I was like, and I was at this event that I ended up chairing at MIT. And I was sitting at a table with a former guest, actually, Oksana Esperard. And I was talking about, I'm like, I just feel like something's missing in my life. I don't know what it is. And there was this feeling of something being missing. And it was like incessant. It was eating at me. And funny enough, 3 months before that, I was at an event at South by Southwest. And I went backstage with my friend who is he's the head of TV writing at Endeavor, William Morris Endeavor. Now that's what he is. Back then he's like a super agent there. And he's like, hey, do you want to go see Elon Musk speak? He's being interviewed by Jonah Nolan, Christopher Nolan's brother. Yeah. And Jonah was his client. And I said, yeah, sure, let's go. So we go, and I see it's just like, you can go on YouTube and see like Jonah Nolan interviewing Elon Musk 2018. And so we're sitting there. This is 3 months before the event, and before I have this moment with Oksana, and we see them, cool talk. We go backstage, and I'm in a group where it's Elon Musk is like 6 inches away from me, his brother, and then the showrunners for Westworld, Jonah and his wife, and my friend. And we're talking, and like, I literally, like, obviously I talk a lot. I'm like, I don't know what to say, like, because you don't say like, what's your name? What do you do? Like everyone knows, right? Like, yeah, right. So it's super awkward. And finally, I say some stupid shit that was not interesting. And I shook his hand and his brother's hand, and I leave. And he's an entrepreneur, and he's a big entrepreneur, right? And this is before he was even as big as he is now. And I left that meeting, and I was like, I'm a fucking loser. Like that, like, this is like hardcore, right? And then I had this thing where I was like, I don't know, it feels like I didn't do what I was supposed to do with my life. And so she said something to me. She's like, well, have you looked within? And I was like, the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
And I did,
thing, right?
Yeah.
When you get that question, you're like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, what does that even mean? Now, that ended up becoming this massive, crazy thing that I'm actually writing a book about it now. But what happened was I had controlled my environment so well that I had created all these mechanisms to make it where I didn't even realize that I was anxious, you know, and I ended up figuring it out afterwards in a really, like, it was like a God dropping me off a cliff moment, like, that's a 3-hour long conversation. But no, I was just curious, like, how does that come to be? Because if you're this perfectionist and then you spiral because of it, because you don't feel like you can maintain control. What did you do with that? Because I know for me, the road out of that was gnarly. It was, I'm 7 years into it now. And it's gone really well, but it wasn't fun. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to pivot with you there. The one thing I just want to name too is, if there's any, business folks listening in right now, a really good question to ask is, what are you running towards? Because with a high achiever, highly successful person, you never truly it's like grabbing a cloud. It's like, once you get to one level, you're already reaching towards the next, and there's no end to this. So you're going to spend your whole life reaching. Like, the question is, do we want to spend our whole life reaching? Or do we want to really enjoy our fucking life?
Right.
And this is where we have to start checking in. Where am I sacrificing my worth, sacrificing my peace, sacrificing my relationships to give my inner child, which usually the most successful people have the loudest inner child that wants to be seen, wants to be celebrated, wants to be something in the world. It's like, how can we nurture that inner child so that they feel safe to know that you don't have to be successful at a cost?
Right.
I think that's a big thing. So I just wanted to name that before I jump into the psychedelic journey, which changed my life forever.
Yeah, we're talking psychedelics now. Woo! I was hoping we'd get there. So now I had no idea that's where we were going. So okay, cool.
That's cool.
Let's do it. Let's roll. Let's jump in.
Happily and lovingly will take us here. And I just want to say, it was the day at Barry's boot camp. It was my girlfriend. And when I saw her, she was like glowing from the inside out. And I was like, what is that? Like, I could smell it. I'm like, how do I get some of that? And she's like, well, and she told me, and I was like, oh, fuck, no way. As like a highly controlling person, thinking even of losing control for a few hours into some psychedelics was a solid no. And then I had to sit with myself and say, well, what is worse than losing control for a few hours is how I feel right now. Like, this is as bad as it gets. And so I went on a journey, and I just want to mention too, because I mentioned psychedelics, I always want to mention that setting is everything. Pre-integration, post-integration, why you're doing it. It's not a Band-Aid, and it's not a fix-all. It is a beautiful tool to be used with reverence, and that is so sacred that if you really do the proper preparation, it can be life-changing. And it was for me. And to be honest with you, I've only ever done one big journey, and that's all I have needed thus far. And it's been years. And from there, every person I've helped, I've probably helped thousands of people doing all the different ceremonies and breath work and just all the things that I do. And it's all because of that choice I made to take a chance on myself and do something brave that scared the fucking shit out of me.
Yeah,
But
it is scary.
Yeah, but it is and it isn't, because when you trust that, spirit or God or, source is going to hold you and show it to you in a way that's for love, it just, even if it's painful, it's loving. And I get emotional just thinking about this journey, because I feel like I met myself for the first time, and I shed every identity I thought I was, the actress, the entrepreneur, the friend that has it all together. Like, that's not who I am. And the way the space was held was so beautiful and so loving for me to be me, authentic me, the real Michelle underneath this meat suit that's expiring as we speak. We're all expiring. And it's like, I got to actually sit with who I was. And after that day, I knew I wanted to help others. And it doesn't have to be through plant medicine. That is just one of many different tools to access these parts of us. But I wanted them to know what it feels like to be them, and that it's okay to be them. They don't have to change anything, and that they're perfect just the way they are, just the way I was. And it was hard for me to receive that, but I did.
Nice.
And so it's been time. So obviously, like, the triggers come back up and you feel your little patterns come back. But now with work and integration, like proper integration after ceremony, like, I took it seriously. I really did the work. It's not that it goes away, but I just know how to hold myself when stuff comes up. I know how to give myself space. Just even a moment, a breath before reacting, a deeper understanding to why I feel scared. And then instead of reaching to everyone else to try to make me feel better or try to fix something, like, how can I find what I need within myself? Which brings us back to what you were saying when that person asked you, like, have you looked within? It's like everything you could ever need is already inside of your body. The intelligence, the embodied awareness, like, it's all there. So when we hyperachieve and we latch on to productivity via success, it really muddies the field, is how I kind of explain it, to be in our heart. And so to make a long story short, the psychedelic journey boosted me into Windtuition Wellness. So I had stopped my acting, and I literally told my agent not to submit me for anything. I needed a moment, and I pivoted and let go of my other business, and then pivoted into Windtuition Wellness, which is a space to do all of these types of ceremonies and programs and breath work and all that beautiful modalities.
I love that. I have two questions for you. I have one statement and one question. My statement is like I'm still get scared, really scared. I'm really scared of of plant medicine. I've lost deep reverence. I'm like, please, Grandma, don't hurt me.
Let me just soft, please, today.
This episode is going to come out right after my episode with Nathaniel Shawkin, where we talk about my ayahuasca journey. And I was like, I was begging her, please please stop. This is like really harsh. And she did. She listened. But so that's my first statement. And my question was, what type of a journey did you do?
It was mushrooms.
Oh, okay. So you did like psilocybin. Cool. Yeah. Okay. That's awesome.
It was gentle. It's not that it was gentle. It's just that it was, how can I describe it? It was what it needed to be.
I think that's like, for people that don't know about this stuff, they think it's like drugs or whatever. I'm like, no. There was a key to what you said that I think is really, really important, which is like you teach breath work and a lot of somatic work, and there's different ways of accessing your subconscious and your psyche and connecting with self and connecting with your heart. And you can get there through meditation, you get there through breath work, or you can get there through psychedelics, or all of them. Like for me, I do a lot of post and I barely do it, but if I do it, there's tons of integration with TM. So I work with my TM coach is who I work with before and after, because the key is in the integration. How do you take the experience and then like not just have it be this like moment that you walk away from that, oh, that was like interesting. It's like, oh, that gave me access to some information that maybe I wasn't as aware of, or emotionally, how's it affecting me afterwards? I should really sit with this and decide how I want to move forward from here in a way that's like with self, right? For me, like that's been really effective in transforming, because to your point, I think the key is you see the patterns. You're like, oh shit, like why do I keep doing that? And then you see like, oh, well, every single time someone says this to me, I feel this certain way. And then I have to prove them wrong because I have this thing that needs to feel loved. And boom, I start to like work 12 hours a day to like prove that I'm worth something. And I'm like, okay, like maybe I don't need to do that anymore. So I appreciate what you said. And I think that listeners who are interested in this work, it is work. It's not just about the experience. So tell us, I want to go into Windtuition Wellness. What is it? What do you do? I mean, that's a huge pivot away from the entertainment industry. So obviously it was meaningful for you, especially given your resume. Tell us about that.
May I say one last thing about the psychedelics?
Yes.
Okay. So as someone who suffered from OCD and with OCD, you have a very rigid neural pathway. So you have a very controlled, like rigid attachment to something that you keep doing over and over and over again because that's keeping you safe. And plant medicine has a really beautiful way to soften the neural pathway so that you can see different ways of seeing the same thing. And it just kind of starts to like gently create more spaciousness around the thought idea you have towards one thing. So for anyone who's listening and who has suffered from anything like obsessive compulsive disorder, there's also How to Change Your Mind is a docuseries. I don't know if you saw it. And there's a specific episode that deals with a gentleman who had OCD and how psilocybin was very helpful. So if anyone's feeling like, oh, I need to do my research on that, you can certainly watch that as a docuseries to get some more information.
Yeah, that's the Michael Pollan series. I'm going to add one thing to that. And there's a podcast by Tim Ferriss. I can't remember who he interviewed, but he started talking about the only other time, like when you think of neuroplasticity, your neurons connecting and forming, like the only other time you have the same effect as with plant medicine is when you're a baby. And you can actually recreate what happens when you're a baby, where your brain is forming during plant medicine journeys. Like actually rewire the brain. Like I might be making this up right now, but my recollection was literally you can like get rid of allergies because their neuroplasticity around autoimmune response changes. So there's crazy things people are doing with plant medicine. I mean, this is old technology that is like really helping people. They're talking about how it affects people who, to your point, have OCD or they suffer from massive anxiety, PTSD. There was a study that came out of Yale where they were looking at people in the military lowered like the PTSD response from like being suicidal by 89%. Like addiction, like all this shit. And I'm like, yeah, that's you're doing drugs. I'm like, this is bullshit. Like this is amazing stuff that we need to pour way more energy into.
Yeah,
so I'm a fan.
Yeah, I'm a fan too. And yeah, I just, let's ask ourselves why. First of all, it's coming from the earth. So no one made it. It was placed here and it's been here for thousands and hundreds and thousands of years. And it's not the first time people have used it. So why did God put it here?
Right. Yeah. But why so? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Okay, so pivoting into Windtuition Wellness. So after that plant journey, I really it's interesting because I was like, oh, what do I do with this? I'm like, holy shit, there's something here. I'm like, is this sound healing? So the first thing I did is I got myself a set of bowls, and right behind me here, I literally have 2 sets of bowls, and I started to play with sound, and like I could feel the 3D just expanding through sound, which was really interesting. So I started doing sound baths, and then the pivoting of, I feel like with acting, it was like, how can I play the best part for this movie role and be like, there's something more self-serving in it. Not to say all actors do this. I don't want to say it that way, but it's how I was showing up to it. Like it would give me anxiety. I felt like I wasn't good enough. I felt like I needed to do it better. And it just like really fed that part of me. Whereas, once I started to do this work, I would come back to acting because I feel so much more embodied now. I feel like it would be so different. It's been like a year and a half maybe since I've done anything acting related. I have had 2 auditions recently, and they were both close calls for really big things. But generally, like when I get auditions in my inbox, I'm not responding. So my agent is listening to this. I'm like,
hey, if you're
yeah, and I'm like, oh my God, how am I forgetting? Where it used to be the most important thing in my life. I would get a ping and I'm like, audition, everything stops. And all I did was that. Like that was the most important thing. So something shifted in me, and it was just like my heart. And this work now, it feeds my heart, and it just feels so good in my body. And I may not be making the same income as I have in the past, or maybe I'm not going as quickly, but I feel so much love in every single thing that I do. So like I said, I started with the sound bowls, then I got into breathwork. Breathwork was my favorite. That I would say is my expertise, because I have worked in trauma and addiction centers. So I work there throughout the week, and I have seen breathwork change people's lives in front of my face time and time and time and time again. It works it works every single time. Even if someone doesn't have a big experience, it's always giving you information. Why was it so hard today? Why was it so hard to breathe? Like what was coming up for you that you couldn't surrender? There's always like juicy information from every practice that you get. And the breathwork is very similar to psychedelics. I have people who have very similar experiences with psilocybin as they do with the breathwork itself. And you're just using your own breath. And people don't breathe properly. Even, right now, like, are we holding our breath, waiting for our turn to speak? Like we think about like, how do we actually, are we always breathing with the belly? Are we breathing with the throat? Are we breathing with the chest? Like, are we oxygenating our bodies and creating space in the body? Otherwise we're like this, and anxiety likes to go like this, squeeze up. So it just gives more spaciousness, even for our emotions to rest before reacting. It's just so good for so many different reasons. I could go on forever. And then also the psychic mediumship, I feel like that came naturally too. I feel like that's always been something that's there. I don't think that it's a special skill. I think everyone has access to being a beautiful psychic, or if you wanted to tap into mediumship, you can. And I think it's just a matter of really getting in tune with your body and actually trusting and listening the signals that are coming through, that they're not thoughts, and they are real. And as an example of that, go ahead.
I just want to take a step back.
Yeah.
To double click on that. Like, explain to the audience what that is. Because are we talking about like you're talking to spirits? Like you're like.
So a psychic reading versus a psychic mediumship reading are different. So psychic reading is you're picking up on the field. So you're picking up on the energy of the person that's in front of you. And so no psychic can fortune tell the future. But what they can do is pick up on your resonance and your quantum field and reflect back to you what you already know. So a lot of people go to psychics just to hear what they already knew about themselves. Right. They're like, oh, okay, I knew it. Or, oh, no. So they're just there to kind of be that reflector. Whereas a psychic medium is someone who specifically will tune in and tap into spirits that have passed and then bring forth information. Now, even as I would say I'm in the middle. I'm business and woo-woo. Like, can there be, what's the middle word? Can we create one?
Yeah, it's like bizwoo. Bizwoo.
So I'm a bizwoo. I think Darius is too. We're bizwoos.
I'm heavy on the biz, light on the woo, but I love woo. So
I'm a little. Well, I know I'm right in the middle. I'm like a bizwoo. Straight up.
Yeah. I'm a hardcore biz. But I love the woo.
Side of woo.
Wait, can I? I want to throw something at you right now. By the way, how are you on time? Are you good for like?
I'm enjoying this, and I have time to.
All right, cool. So I had there's a woman I was introduced to who lives in Portugal, and we were on a call because my friend's like, oh, you should interview her for the show. She has this cool new like technology, and I was like, oh, cool, I'll hit her up. And so we're talking, and I was telling her about this gnarly thing that had just happened to me, and she's like, can I tap into your field? And I was like, fuck it, go for it. And she like made me do this thing with my hand and like cross my feet. And she literally like started reading me. Yeah. And it was insane. Like when you just said the tapping in the quantum field, I'm like, is this something like literally if I'm like, hey, right now, I want you to do it to me. Can you do it?
I could. And you could also do it too. I mean, we both can. The only thing is it takes time to build the trust that what you're picking up on and how to read what you're picking up on, because the way that stuff comes through comes in textures, colors, visuals you've never seen before. And then you're trying to take it and then put it into English language, if you speak English, and you're trying to explain it to somebody in the 3D. So it's like, it's a very, and so it takes time to build. And I'm still in my newer phases of psychic mediumship. I have a beautiful mentor, Mana. She's awesome. And she literally, Darius, and when I was learning how to do it, even as a biz woo, so someone who does have the woo woo in her, I was skeptical that someone could actually speak to spirits that are no longer here. Like, even though I believe in so much, I'm like, that's far. And then I learned how to work with my energetic field, which is what you're doing. And then you are tapping in. And I did a reading on a woman when I was practicing in the first few weeks. And I got 3 names for her, specific names. And I was so scared to say the names because if I'm wrong, I'm going to feel like an idiot.
You're like, Ron?
So integrity. If like, I'm naming these names and they're wrong.
Yeah,
and
like, nope.
No, I don't know.
I have no idea who that is.
So my mentor was like, make sure that if information comes through, it's your job as a straw. You're just a channel. You're not attached to the information, but you're there to give information, that you say it. You don't hold back, because you could be holding back someone's healing if they needed to hear about a certain strawberry that was really meaningful to them as children that the grandmother used to make, or, you know. So I held my breath a little bit, coming from the breathwork facilitator. And I'm like, okay, I got 3 males. I got, I forget what their names were now, like Jamal, Franklin, and Larry, let's say. And the girl's face went white. And she said, that is my dad, my brother, and my uncle. And I almost shit myself, basically, listening to this information. I was like, oh my God. I'm like, first of all, the chance of you getting 1 name right is pretty unlikely. Sure. The chance of you getting 2 names right is like not probable at all. No. Right? Math. Tell us.
Yeah. It's like at least like 1 in 10 million.
Yeah. But that validation, and that's not why we do the work. You never do the work for validation, of course. But in the beginning, when you're learning to trust your body and like other information that's coming through, that validation means a lot.
Sure.
That made me go, oh my God, like this is so much greater than I even could imagine. There's so much access. And I'm still learning myself, like how much access. And I've been doing work with Robert Edward Grant, and he's tapping into all this 5D stuff. And we were doing it in Egypt and in Peru. And I'm like, I got 1 foot in 3D, 1 foot in 5D, and I am starting to get disoriented. So I think grounding and anchoring and embodying the information helps us be able to digest it in the body that we're given. It's just a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that answered your question or what your question.
No. I was actually baiting you because I was going to see if you would like read me, but and I've had a couple like mentalists on the show, and they do crazy. We've had them do mentalist work with me on the show, and I was like, but since you're new, I won't bait you. What I do want to do is I want
a small reading on you.
Yeah. Do you feel comfortable doing that?
Yeah, I'll just do a really brief. Well, I will say what's already coming through. So what I'm getting is a small little baseball bat, and I'm getting the color blue. It feels maybe like a number 6. And there's it feels as though it may be this is you, and while you were in a younger age. There's a sadness attached to the ball, and also joy attached to the blue. And I'm going to leave it there, and I'll let you chew into that.
All right. That's interesting. I have already digested a little bit of it, but that's really interesting.
Yeah. And if anything comes up, you can say it, or you can tell me after the show, because sometimes it's like Oh my God. That was my blah, 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 blah. And then it'll come back.
So I was on a baseball team called the Marlins,
There you
and
go.
we had light blue shirts when I was
There you are.
sick, when I was 6.
Yeah.
But I had this moment where I was playing baseball with my friends, same age, in the street, and I hit the ball, and my friends were like, "Go home," and I ran to my house crying because I thought they wanted me to go home,
Oh my God.
and I was super upset, and because
Oh my God.
go home was run around the bases to the home base.
I know. You poor thing.
That's so funny.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, where's she going with this? I was like, that's so crazy. And then I realized, I'm like, oh my God, like that totally happened to me. That was
Yeah.
amazing. That was so
Yeah.
cool.
And it's sweet because it's in your demeanor too, right? So like those visuals came through, but it's like reading just you in front of me, like your sweetness. I can only just imagine like with the brain, what you were like as a kid.
Yeah.
And so it's just like reading your energy and just throwing what comes through and what it means. I have no idea. So you present the information and then there you go. You explain to us what it meant.
I love that. That was actually really cool. I was hoping you would do it, and I'm glad you did. So thank you. That was cool. All right. So I do want to respect your time. Let's talk a little bit about SheCode. I know you have a bunch of like events coming up. Like how can people work with you that want to work with you? Tell them about SheCode, and then we'll go to the greatness question.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so SheCode is my signature program. It's for the ladies, and it's really a beautiful space. It's an online space where we meet once a week, and we get to do live activations, embodiment work, integration work, just being able to be in a sisterhood together, feeling seen, feeling heard, and showing up in not the version of us and it's really meant for the high achievers. A lot of high achievers are in here, women who have been in their masculine, have been doing it all and trying to find more safety in a collective to unbecome everything we thought we were supposed to be and start to really get into our alignment and start moving from that place. So having, a coach, a reflector, a personal cheerleader rooting everyone on, plus also teaching some beautiful somatic work, embodiment work. And also the women themselves are the medicine. One woman speaks, uses their voice, and we can understand and feel them so deeply. And then it creates a safe space for women. So that is SheCode. That's starting up in September. And also I have a beautiful plant medicine retreat coming up at the end of August, and that will be with psilocybin. It's very intimate, small 3-day container. So that's another one for anyone looking for a deep dive, I would say. And then the other thing I would mention too is Sedona. So I have a few spaces left for Sedona, which is also a women's retreat in October, the 24th to 28th. And Sedona is a portal in itself. Never mind the beautiful itinerary that we have for the ladies. So I can definitely send you some of those things. And then lastly, for co-eds, for any gentlemen that are listening, I do work one-on-one with gentlemen. So whether that's a breath work or wanting to do a reading or, get into some embodiment stuff or just learning how to lead from a different place. So especially for a business entrepreneur who's wanting to continue to be successful, but not at the cost of you feeling like shit, I got you.
All right.
So yeah, those would be kind of what I would say is up and coming.
Awesome. So my lady listeners, you got tons of opportunities to work with Michelle. My guy listeners, you got less, but enough. And I don't know if you've done work with like YPO or Tiger 21 or EO. Are you familiar with any of these organizations? So these are like global organizations that work with like pretty high level entrepreneurs. I've been in a bunch of them. So my YPO listeners and my EO listeners, you guys should hit up Michelle for your forums because she could probably do some work with the forum. So this is like groups that they're called confidentiality forums. There's usually 8 to 12 entrepreneurs. Some are co-ed, some are not. But they do retreats and they bring in facilitators for different things like we do it. We'll do everything from breath work to TM to plant medicine to we'll bring in someone who's an expert in some part of business. Is that something that you would like, that you could entertain for listeners?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I think too, just being able to just lead from a different place and having the courage to do that and having someone to help you see where you are feeding into the inner child versus like your higher self and your highest purpose here and how much better you feel in your body when you're doing the thing, the purpose, the reason why you are here. It's never just to make money, and it's never just to be successful. We came here to love, and we came here to impact each other. And so adding that heart space to what you're already doing will only increase the impact, income, and love that you're putting out into the world. And that will always be remembered.
I love that. I was talking when Robert was on the show, Robert Grant, we were talking, and I said, I had this realization, and you just kind of hit the nail on the head with it, which I said, when I was young, like a young entrepreneur, I thought the game of business was my life, like winning and making money and getting achievement and awards and all this stuff. And I'm like, and I dedicated 99% of my time to that, regardless of family or like personal time or my expense of my own health. Yeah. And then at a certain point, I realized that no, that's the game. And that real life is about relationships and connection. And you can still love the game and also know that that's not real life. Real life is who you affect, who you serve, and who you can promote like love to in the world. And so you just made me think of that when you said that.
Oh, so beautifully said. Thank you for that.
So are you ready for the greatness question?
Yeah, let's go. Hit me.
All right. So hold on. Before we go there, if people want to do SheCode or connect with you, where can they find you? We'll put this in the show.
Yeah. So on windtuitionwellness.com, and you'll see different tabs that have different options on there.
Okay, cool. So we'll do that. And you have a really great social on IG too. So we'll make sure we put that in there. So we'll make sure that's in the show notes. And without further ado, let's do greatness question, and I will get you out of here. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, Michelle, what is the number one barrier to creating greatness that you've overcome in your life, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, the number one barrier for overcoming greatness in my life would certainly be, I have two words. I have judgment and I have safety, which is interesting because those are the polar opposite. So, or joy. And I overcame judgment, which was really of self, by finding safety in my own body, truly finding joy in my own body, being able to feel fully expressed in my own body, and really allowing my authenticity and who I actually am underneath it all be seen, be heard, and be loved by myself in order to, really serve deeply to others. Trying to think if I want to add anything onto that. Did I answer the question itself?
Yeah, totally. That was amazing. that was amazing. That was amazing.
Yeah, I feel like judgment robs joy. Where there's judgment, there's no joy. There's no space. And so I feel like creating space in your life can really make you have a much more enjoyable experience here as a human on this very short blip of time. So.
Thank you so much. That was amazing. Michelle, what a treat. So much gratitude from us here at The Greatness Machine. So thankful to have you on the show today.
Yeah, thank you, Darius. It's nice chatting.
You guys, until next time, peace out. We love you. You are listening to The Greatness Machine, and that's a wrap for today. Listen, if you love what you heard, subscribe to the show on whatever podcast platform that you're tuning in on, so that you don't miss any of our future episodes. We have tons of great people coming on, and we're stoked to have you here to enjoy it with us. Leave us a review. Tell us what you love most about this particular episode. We love getting the reviews. We love to see what you guys love most. And if this particular episode, made you think of someone who's leveling up in their business and in their life, print screen, share it with them. Leaders are the best givers, and after all, we're all here to support and grow with each other. And in case you want to see some of the fun behind the scenes shots or some of the things that we're doing, I'm actually writing about this in my weekly newsletter. Go to www.therealdarius.com and subscribe to my newsletter. We're talking about fun things like business and life and mindfulness and cryptocurrencies and gosh, I don't even know, everything and anything, but it's tons of fun stuff I write about. I try to get it out on a weekly basis. You can subscribe at www.therealdarius.com. And with that said, look, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. I love you. Peace. We're out of here. See you guys on the next one.
She's my lover.